rolls up, Senate goes back in 30 minutes. If we don't finish, we're going to adjourn and then reconvene immediately following the session.
Oh, great.
Today, after House and Senate get out.
That could be a house meeting. That's good. What do you want to have there? Yeah. My wife. Why do we have this big place rattling around? That's a with them, with them.
Senator Favola.
Siblings' houses for
Anyone else here? Senator Favola.
Who else is not here? Just me. Came down to Wall Street instead.
Bill 932.
Sorry. Where are we moved to?
It's not auto room, but got a foot less.
Very straightforward. It removes the requirement of second public hearing held if that utilities.
Okay. So what?
Actually, the county, I represent Commissioners of Rockland County, and they asked that the bill be pulled. I just, want to make it clear that transportation projects go through multiple hearings. So this is no way minimizing the ability of the public to comment on transportation projects nor does it affect the prioritization of transportation projects. Once the transportation project has been approved, if the utility easement is needed related to that project, it just removes that public hearing requirement. Oftentimes, it's very pro forma. A jurisdiction holds a public hearing according to the letter of the law, and nobody shows up. So that's the beginning and end of my bill. Loudoun County does have a contract lobbyist here. Some other people who want to speak.
Questions from the subcommittee? See no questions. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the bill, please come forward.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Jeff Orr on behalf of Loudoun County. So what we're talking about here is this is already public property. The county has already enforced it. We've already obtained this land for a road project. So there was a public process when we put the project to the CIP. Required the land. It's not private property. It's land the county owns, the city owns. And all we're talking about here is conveying required use. And this is really for the form of public hearing required that adds delays and advertising. And so that's really the purpose behind it.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Chairman Bill Murray on behalf of the Dominion, I would echo what Mr. Orr said. In our experience, there's sometimes citizen interest in selling real property. There's seldom interest in selling one of our easements. And typically, it's to move it from one place to another. Transportation projects matter of some urgency time-wise. We don't want to get in the way of those reasons. Support the bill.
To also support the bill.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in favor?
Mr. Chairman, Chris Costa with Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, and they support as well. Thank you.
Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Hearing none. We have a motion properly second to report. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you, Senator. Senator Sturtevant. Senate Bill 795. I don't think anybody's heard it.
This is the bill, Mr. Chairman, that has the support of all of the I've spoken with, I think, all of you here for taking the time. This is as I've expressed to you, what I consider to be a good government transparency bill. It is a bill that requires our localities, the school boards, to post on their public websites information that is fundamentally public information that is already subject to FOIA, so specifically FOIA requests that will be provided. It is, as it says, the government bill allows taxpayers, allows aside from the impact that might have on our smaller localities, and that, you know, but I think is an excellent point. So if it would be the pleasure of the committee, and it might help assuage some concerns, I'm certainly happy to consider minimum thresholds of a locality's population. That makes it perhaps more palatable to the committee for this bill to move on. Understanding that a larger locality certainly would have the ability to absorb something like this than a town of Tulsa.
So Jeff, where would that, just go put a threshold? Just go put threshold, who would you put?
Mr. Chairman, on line 13, simply say every locality with a population of X.
Right, so let me get this story. So population of 100,000. That takes out all my
My initial thought was 50,000.
The motion was 100,000.
So is that a formal motion?
It's a formal motion.
So there is a motion on the table to amend the bill to read every locality with population over 100,000, similar to 100,000 or 100,000 or greater. Is there a second? Hearing none. That motion is not before us. Other questions from the committee? Charlie Weaver.
Okay, I'm trying to understand the extent of the legislation, because Goochland does, I looked at Goochland's website, thank you very much for sending that to us. So, their sales spreadsheet seem to go in some pretty significant detail. However, the legislation says, you know, all funds expended, a register of all funds expended showing vendor name, date amount, and description type of purchase, including credit card purchases. When it comes to localities, and I'm thinking of bigger localities as well, I mean, is that gonna, so that's gonna include basically all of the different sections of the locality? And then I got to thinking about the, what is it, the expenditure of funds, description type, I mean, does this include, like, so for instance, our park and rec, you know, they'll give a guy $100 to go buy lumber. And is that the kind of expense that you're looking at collecting as well?
Well, I mean, Mr. Chairman, Kelly, if we were, I think anybody who has worked in local government, served in local government, or follow local government knows that when a governing board approves a budget, that the folks who are running the day-to-day of that operation, no matter its size, know exactly where every last dollar, every last penny is going, because if they are spending money that they don't have, we're not keeping track of it, there's a serious problem. So I would submit to you that our localities are already keeping track of this information down to the level of paying $100 to somebody who's coaching the park and rec. And I would further submit from a transparency perspective, because sometimes those smaller dollar amounts that are the most important ones for us to be keeping track of. And one of the things that I think is important to remember about this is there is a preventive aspect to this bill. The policy is forward-looking to help us prevent situations in the future where there has been misappropriation or mismanagement of funds, because folks they'll know on the front end that that information is going to be posted online.
I think many people at this table really do like the transparency aspect of what you're trying to accomplish. As I spoke with you, I had a bill that was very similar in regards to the state agencies, et cetera. And when we started talking about the databases required, et cetera, we started talking about cost, which is one of the reasons the bill did not make it to the floor. And I think every person here has had, as myself, has had discussions with their localities on added costs on changing databases, et cetera, so that they can accumulate the necessary data to provide the information that you would like to see. My question to you is, in regards to this bill, would it not make more sense to give the localities the ability to, over time, as they change out their databases, to become more than just, I think it was a year and a half, but I know some, you know, if a locality just put in a new system,
Yeah,
that
sure.
system's got
And
5 years.
and that was raised by, as well, and that was sort of my thinking in response to our conversation, Delegate, having that minimum threshold. Because what we are talking about is the ability of a locality to, at its most basic level, spit out a spreadsheet of where dollars and cents are being spent. That's a challenge for smaller localities to be able to do something like that, and maybe it is. I suspect that it would not be a significant challenge for a larger locality to accomplish.
Delegate Hodges.
And looking at the type of expense, and being in retail, when we write a check, say once a month, you may have 35, 40, 50 different invoices that can post for that one particular check. So it can break in different departments, different uses. So when you have that type of expense with one check, it can be, so what this is saying, you're gonna have to break that individual check down into how it was spent. That's the way I read the legislation. So it can be used for numerous different things.
Well, I think if you spend a check on $100 for whatever, I don't know that you would need to break that down. It would be the date of the check, who it was paid to, the amount, and then a brief description of what that payment was for. Well, I understand
But the type of expense, so that expense could be for numerous different things, depending if you have one vendor, whether it be for labor, whether it be for materials, telephone, whatever it may be, but, and I'd like to hear from the localities, as well, when you get down into the weeds with that.
Delegate here.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, a lot of what localities do involve authorities and commissions and that sort of thing.
Right.
I can think of in Hampton Roads, there's a regional jail authority, there's an airport authority. Does this include those types of entities as well?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Delegate Herrick, it does not. Presently, the idea of this bill was strictly limited to localities and to school boards, but I think we evolve, whether it's down in far southwest Virginia or whether it's the issue with airport authorities, I think was in today's paper. It is an issue of that I think is helpful for any entity that is spending public money.
Delegate.
Mr. Chairman.
Delegate.
Senator, have you looked at how other states have approached such transparency measures in regards to their localities?
Delegate, I have not specifically looked to see what other states do in this regard. I will tell you though, in Virginia, at the state level, we have the Commonwealth Data Point, which is effectively the check register for all state departments and programs and agencies. We're to do this at the state level in a fairly detailed fashion. But I know I'm not done with the state review.
Any other questions from the committee? Going to hear from public now. If you have something different to say, please say something different. If it's just you oppose, please come up and say you oppose or in favor, but if, we are time constrained here. All those wishing to speak in favor of the bill, please step forward.
I don't have anybody.
All those wishing to speak in opposition, please come forward. Yes, sir.
Mr. Association, our membership is extremely concerned about this bill. We have a lot of localities that are under financial stress right now. This is essentially an unfunded mandate. Some of the fiscal impact that we saw, particularly on smaller localities, could be as much as $40,000 to $60,000. $60,000 is cost of teaching. So they're very much Senator said, the information is available, it's voidable, it's there for the public now if they wish to see it. But so they have small, particularly small finance departments. Mine, when I was superintendent, was accounts payable clerk, payroll clerk, and myself. To work with putting this online will be a burden and will be a cost if they feel they can spend the money better someplace else.
Sean Downey from the Virginia Municipal League. We oppose this because we really are concerned about our tiny towns. We have some towns that don't even have a website yet. They're still trying to get to the website. They have part-time clerks that, come in for 3 or 4 hours a day and aren't, the cost of having to get that information on the website, purchase the website and to get there is extremely difficult. In addition to that, though, we have larger localities that have some sort of checkbook registry right now, and it doesn't comply with the statute because they have credit card vendors that do things differently, or there's other pieces of purchasing that are handled separately, still subject to FOIA, available if you ask for it, but not in their database that they put online. So those are the reasons.
That went out in the Michael County School Division, which of course this bill covers school divisions as well as counties. And we're a larger school division, but we certainly have the concerns about the impact on staff. Interesting, Delegate Lemonian has brought a bill this session to eliminate 130, well, he said the state requires 131 reports right now that school divisions are required to do, and this would be another. So thank you very much for your consideration of this resolution.
Bob Mathias, City of Virginia Beach. We're doing a modified version of this right now. The software alone is $6,000 every year, recurring cost, and we have about 2/3 of an FTE. Looking at this software to make sure we don't inadvertently generate information that should not be released. I'm going to give you an example. It may sound far-fetched, but let's say Virginia Beach Econ Development has the hit of Amazon for an econ development prospect, and that information would inadvertently get out because of this very broad bill. Then that would put us at very much at a disadvantage because that econ development prospect would probably walk away from us. So please keep that in mind.
Chairman Joe Lurch with the Association of Counties. Building all after the discussion is we've done a little bit of digging to see what other states have done. We found one example that might be instructive, and that's in the state of Ohio. They have a Ohio checkbook on developed by the state treasurer. And it's a voluntary program that helps localities to pay for their software to get it online. And we're talking with our colleagues there. There seems to be quite a level of participation. It was something that the state helps them with. And one of the benefits of it is it's a one-stop shop, really one website for both the state and the local to look these up and not 400 different websites across the state. Thank you.
Herbie Caton with the City of Alexander. We don't have anything like this now. We think it should be up to the locality to decide whether or not to do this because it is a significant expense. So we oppose it.
So, Mr. Chairman, Chris Costa with the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors. We don't oppose the bill. We just ask for some amendments because we have this now. We do it in a different fashion than what the bill would require of us, and this would require us to expend more money, tens of thousands of dollars, to bring ours up to speed with what is here. There's also some concern from our budget people and some of our attorneys who deal with FOIA that it doesn't cover other aspects of information that we keep confidential pursuant to other statutes, such as certain tax payments, certain social services payments, healthcare record payments, things like that as well, housing choice voucher payments and other things that we otherwise prohibited to put online. I'm told that we have, about 1 in 7 Virginians lives in Fairfax County, and so we have about 3 million transactions on average or so every year, and we have to review all of those and consider putting them online pursuant to our Board of Supervisors mandate that we do that as staff. So, thank you.
Rob Catron with the cities of Suffolk, Roanoke, Chimotee, Loudoun County Public Schools. We all oppose the bill because of the nature of the unfunded mandate. Loudoun County Public Schools easily has over 1 million transactions per year, including credit card transactions. Many of those are payroll, but many of them are also not. And going through all these transactions to provide the description and put it online would be a tremendous amount of effort for staff. And we've asked that you not support the bill.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Mark Mulloy, Fairfax County Schools, and we actually share the exact same concerns. We have a shared transparency application right now with our county, and would have the same concerns that they have. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, and members of the committee, I'm Purple Bright with the City of Hopewell. We're one of the team of physically distressed cities. We have serious concerns about it. I spoke to the city attorney also.
else wishing to speak? Senators cover that last one.
Just briefly, Mr. Chairman, so we have had challenges. We hear about that sort of this from time to time, oftentimes too regularly, and I think that this is a way that at the state level that we can ensure and prevent those sorts of things. While at the same time ensuring that facilities have I would offer an amendment. I can't offer language exactly at this moment, but basically the sentiment would be that, locality school division, authority or commission, which receives public money from a locality or school division would be included, I suppose. City council is not extremely on that.
Just make it a lot more.
Well, follow the money.
We have a motion on the table, is there a second? There's a motion, a second, discussion of the, amendment. Hearing none, all those in favor of the amendment, signify by saying aye. Okay?
Mr. Chairman.
Trustee Campbell.
My understanding is you want to have every authority.
Mr. Chairman.
Let council.
Hundreds of authorities, is there?
Okay, so, Kelly.
I'd like to offer a substitute motion. And I'll preface it with Senator, as you've heard, we're all in agreement with the concept, but what we've heard overwhelmingly is the potential to create a lot of unintended consequences. And my fear then is to add more to that. So with that, I would trust we'll probably see you next year with this same idea or something like it. But I would offer a motion to table.
Before you motion, we have an amendment before us, we have to deal with the amendment, I think, before we do a motion on the bill. We had a motion and a second.
That is to add authorities.
That is to add authorities.
Parliamentary inquiry. The title of the bill is for localities and schools.
Do you wish to withdraw?
I'll withdraw.
Okay. Your motion's now on order.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to table.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to table. It's a really good bill. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Senator Peterson.
What do I got?
You've got 3 minutes.
3 minutes. All right.
3 minutes.
Thank you for reaching out. Very much, we'll do that again.
1558 is really, really has to do with
The committee will,
surety coverage for Bradford County.
Did you want to have a seat? Want to have a seat?
No, I'm good, thank you, you're fine.
Senate Bill 1558. Blanket surety bond.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 1558 is blanket surety bonds. Basically, it's here in the file extract of the master policy. Just my confirmation of the business management insures all kinds of
favor of the bill?
I'm shocked if anybody cares.
The only person I represent the trade is in the bank.
We have a motion and a second to report all those in favor, signify by saying aye. House Bill 1558.
Okay. Next, I'm gonna do 926, which I'm mildly more interested in, talking about, actually, believe it or not, I wasn't on Mary's. Okay. Okay, it had to do with the issue of allowing police, actually enforce civil penalties in this case for noise violations. And Junior 21 was pushing this, with the whole idea is that instead of criminalizing noise violations, you have civil penalties, and then rather have a code enforcement officer come out and write a ticket, police officer basically issue the civil penalty. So it's not criminalizing noise violations. So we did that by simply adding one sentence.
Senator, I talked to a couple of our folks in courts, and they're unaware of us doing this anywhere else in the code. And I turned to counsel, are we asking the police to, my reading of this is that they're going to enforce the civil penalties. And the civil penalties have already been placed. They're not writing the new noise. Like you said, they're not writing a ticket for the noise.
Right.
They're enforcing a penalty that has already been placed. And to me, that means like they're trying to go out and collect a fine.
Well, the word enforce may be that basically you already have a civil noise ordinance. And somebody violates it, they have a party. I never did that. But somebody does, and there's a complaint. And instead of the police coming out and arresting someone, they would come out and essentially what would effectively summons for a civil penalty. So this would give them the legal authority to issue a summons for a civil penalty as opposed to a criminal penalty. So enforce may be the wrong verb, but you know, it's within the statute that enforces. That's the idea.
Do we know if we're doing this anywhere else?
I'm not aware that it's spelled out anywhere. I would say this doesn't require the,
Yeah, it's local option.
doesn't require the police officer to, police chief to do this, but of course it's the piece that gets called, it's the 12 o'clock hearing. It's not the zoning hearing.
Mr. Chairman, if I may. How is this handled by the localities now? So say the neighbor calls, my neighbor's having a wild party, kids are jumping up, you know, sorry, that's past 10 o'clock. Noise ordinance goes into effect. Perhaps this is for the sheriff. How does, because usually they call and then a deputy or sheriff's deputy comes out, if I'm not mistaken, and handles the situation. What happens after that? And will this help streamline the process?
They need to knock the noise off once they put the ordinance up. But if not, then I don't know if enforcing a civil fine.
Mr. Chairman, what does the deputy do after the warning?
I hadn't been in front of it.
They usually knock it off.
I'll remember that one. I guess the idea would be is if somebody's having a party and there's a complaint and the police come or sheriff's deputy comes and for some reason they're like, you know, I'm gonna write these folks a ticket. And they write out a ticket for a civil summons, just like a traffic ticket, okay? But they write a civil summons as opposed to doing it for a criminal penalty. That's the intent. And it's local option. Locality can still have it as a class 4 misdemeanor or whatever the most misdemeanor. If they want to have this as a civil summons, they have it enforced by the police, as opposed to having, you know, civil code.
So, can law enforcement not currently write a summons in a civil penalty?
That is what was, that's what they told me. And frankly, not usually in here, so law enforcement officers will.
Mr. Chairman, I know Chesapeake would experience something like this. The city council is actually a church. So you're right. Actually, that's the point. They have companies doors needed measures to tell whether or not they're actually receiving just like that's
officer can issue a civil penalty now under their existing authority. But I believe that it's our police officers who are trained in using the decibel meter. They would be the ones who provide evidence in a civil enforcement proceeding. I would presume, as I see the bill, as I'm sitting here thinking about how I would enforce this with our departments, so it would be, our board saw it as a way of not having to use a criminal sanction in a case where a criminal sanction may not be the appropriate sanction.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? So, I guess my question continues to be whether this does what you want it to do.
Well, if I didn't think so, I wouldn't have filed it. I mean, it comes down to, localities have those ordinances, and they have police forces. And the question is, who enforces the noise? This allows the police force to enforce the noise ordinance, but do it again, issuing a civil summons as opposed to a local statute. So, I try to keep it simple as possible.
Is that what this says?
I think it does. It says enforce any civil penalties adopted pursuant. So we're talking about he's enforcing the ordinance, not enforcing previously given civil penalties. That's how I think it does what it's right.
I just want to make sure that when it comes to the actual enforcement of the ordinance, I guess the locality would adopt an ordinance and you still have the sheriff's discretion to give them warnings and all that good stuff. And then, okay, fine, it says whatever point that on my decimator on your second one, here's your civil summons kind of thing. Is that how you anticipate it working?
Yes. I mean, they can still give warnings and then they get them in the car.
Any other questions? You act on the motions. Is there a second? Okay, we have a motion to report the bill and properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay?
I think right now.
All right. The last one is 1559.
Maybe we're gonna have to stop here. We'll recess and we'll reconvene immediately following.
The house sucks.
Hey,
Bryce.
They start in 5 minutes.
Yeah, the session starts 45 minutes.
That's up to, it's up to you.
What?
Oh.
I hate to get right to the point.
Senate started at 4:30.
What time I'll be back?
As soon as we adjourn. So immediately upon adjournment.
Can I just take this up real quick, Chris? On 15, this is the zoning appeals, no, that's right, yes. I think we were good on zoning appeals, this was 1559. We had agreed language coming out of the Senate, which basically, there's an opinion and a report to Fairfax. The statute for giving notice of non-compliance with zoning appeal was not constitutional. This is 15.2-23, but this is 1559. With Attorney Costa, we worked out some agreed language that had to do with giving notice to the homeowner in that situation. I have the old version here. I think it talked about rebuttable presumption. I think I had everybody on board with it.
That's right.
And passed out of the inferior body.
You good?
I don't think there's any opposition. It has to do with just making sure that you get statutory notice.
So exactly what does the new language do?
So with this new language, right now, what we do is we can rely on the tax record address because that's where your tax assessment goes. We figure that homeowners will make sure their tax assessment goes to an address where they know they're gonna be reached. What this does is it says that that is what you could, you have a rebuttable presumption that that's correct. However, you still have to go through some kind of due diligence to try and find an actual last known address, which is what most of our code compliance officers, and mostly our retired law enforcement, will do anyway. And if that doesn't match the tax record address, we normally will give notice in 2 different addresses, just as a belt and suspenders. So what this does is it says you have to look for the last known address, and if you use the address in the tax records, you get a rebuttable presumption that the defendant can still come in and say, wait, that wasn't actually they can still go ahead and argue that.
Here's what happened. I represented a client in Fairfax County who had a zoning violation. They had actually, the husband, a couple of split husbands in Florida, and he came up and challenged it. I represented him. Turned out they had the wrong address. I actually got us from Virginia, a circuit court judge, to say that this notice I'm trying to do is fix what it is. Solves that issue.
Any other questions from the committee? Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? There's a motion and a second to support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Join again.
That's fine. That's fine, yeah, I just gotta hit the road.
Why don't I throw one no up to for the call?
Thanks, yep.
We always do that. We got four now, right?
Yeah, I think we got it.
I think that we are going to suspend. We'll come back immediately following adjournment from the House and Senate.
All right.
So Chris, so you.